Every challenge coin holds a story. The unit, the deployment, the handshake it was pressed into your palm with. But stories fade unless someone saves them. Allcoin lets you digitize your coins and the stories behind them, a lasting record of what your service meant and who you served it with. Preserve your story free at allcoin.brav.co because your service is worth remembering.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we are going to have a part 2 with Charles Russo. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? Make sure you go to the website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out, see what we're all about. Man, there's a lot of good stuff going on there, not to mention the research portal that is there. You should click on that. Go check that out. It's a pretty cool deal. Big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, check them out again. I'm telling you, an amazing organization. You can find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. And just like you saw previously, Allcoin is actually allowing us to give out a digital coin. So everybody that comes on the show will get this digital coin. But if you haven't checked them out, you need to go to allcoin.brav.co. And as always, the Marine Corps League now has veteran service officers. That's right. You don't have to be a Marine, but you can be any veteran and go to mcleague.org, VSO locator, or you can dial 703-207-9588, extension 299. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. Oh, I did not hit the right button. I'm going to go back. Here we go. There we are. Now we got him. He's back with us. How are you doing today? Hopefully everything is going well.
I am doing awesome. I too have hit the wrong button to where I've got multiple screens, and you ended up on the very top screen. So I was like, I'm looking at my screen. Where's everybody? So
that's funny. Yeah, well, we'll eventually get there. You know, it may take a minute, but we're going to get there for sure. Well, hey, I'm excited to hear this part. We got up quite a bit. We did quite a bit of your story. Very interesting. You've been all over the place, done all kinds of cool stuff. But I think from here on out, you're doing even cooler stuff. So it should be really cool.
Yeah, thank you. One, I do. I find it an honor and a privilege to, one, be able to be on your show, and then two, be able to have a part due.
I love it.
Yeah. So, in reflecting upon, where we talked about like literally the first 16 years, I even myself, I'm like, wow, am I getting older, or did I just do a heck of a lot? Of course, I have a very supportive wife, and she was just like, you've done a heck of a lot. So
yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah.
So where we kind of ended off was I was still with the FBI in 2016 at the Terrorist Explosive Device Analytics Center at Quantico, Virginia, as part of the laboratory division. And for anybody getting into any kind of forensics, I would never have thought myself kind of that lab technician. But here we were, not in the lab, but did go to the lab quite a bit, because we within the Obama administration in 2009, 2010, the administration had signed an executive order that all terrorist explosive devices, meaning like IEDs used in Iraq and Afghanistan, anywhere in the world used against the United States would, and to include inside the United States, would end up at the FBI.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And this was because within the works was TEDAC ended up at Redstone Arsenal there in Huntsville, Alabama, in a state-of-the-art facility. If you ever get a chance to go to what is there, the NASA's space camp is on Huntsville.
Oh, okay. All right.
As part of just outside of the Redstone Arsenal. Proper base, but you look at it and you're just like, it's a state-of-the-art facility. Now they've been there for just about 10 years. But really looking at, when I got there, I was looking at the IED used in the Boston Marathon bombing, both rebuilt as well as the explosive. I even at one point transported the printer bomb. A colleague and I, two-person integrity, had to take it to another government agency. But this is, of course, they've already taken the explosives out. It's but it was one of the two that had been, of course, Al-Qaeda had tried to ship overseas and bring down the cargo planes that they were going to be on. But of course, luckily, between the intelligence community here in the U.S. and of course with our global partners, it was thwarted. So you wouldn't think, we talked about those James Bond type moments of it's more the Jack Ryan moment. I'm just an analyst, but having been around and looking at these explosive devices, while it sounds cool, you have to remember our brothers and sisters who were either killed or harmed, maimed by these, individuals, if you will. Because we looked at we looked for everything from biometrics, fingerprints, skin cells, oil.
Holy cow.
Fingers, hair, so we had individuals. Now, again, I'm just the analyst. We had expert scientists who worked on the chemical makeups of the explosive compound. So, you could say, it was, C4, Semtex, TNTP, EGDN, that the scientists were the ones saying, here are the breakdown. And then also have the chemical precursors that were used. But then we had the awesome individuals on another part, which is, of course, any of the triggering devices. So, the large statistical part of IED triggers and detonation devices were, of course, cell phones. The Nokias were the big ones. But I mean, they used everything from RC controllers to washing machine timers, even getting through the analog stuff. But they even sent us to what we called the bomb making school. We went to University of Virginia, and we had an awesome scientist who taught us in the lab how to make stuff. Also, they sent us to an electronics school. A former SAS officer turned consultant had his own company in Northern Virginia, who taught us how to program all sorts of stuff, phones, key fobs. So while it sounds all nice and cool, it was a lot of work. So when people think, well, how do I get into this? You're like, I wasn't expecting that when they said, analyst looking at doing counter IED stuff. I did not envision that as well. So, but at the same time, now where we kind of didn't overlap was by 2011, I was with the Bureau and had newly minted really in 2010, but my education I utilized the heck out of my GI Bill. I
Right.
utilized everything I could under wherever I could find grants or scholarships.
Mhm.
And of course, the intelligence community had some. So I decided, well, I want to teach because I loved being an instructor throughout my career as well with the Navy, did master training specialist
Right.
and such. But I was like, well, where do I go from here? Well, I would love to teach someday. And well, I was given the opportunity. I'm going to go back to school. So I did. I went for a master's
Nice.
degree in intelligence studies through
Okay.
American Military University. That's also where I got my undergraduate degree
Hmm.
as well. And so did that kind of the journey. And then as soon as I was done, you know how you have that epiphany of, well, what do I want to do? I turned
Yeah.
right around, and of course, my dear wife and her heart attack of, I'm going to go for a PhD. Um, um,
Yeah.
you know, if the master's degree and of course, luckily, again, GI Bill paid for most of it.
Right.
Um, there were, like I said, awards between grants and some scholarships that I was able to get that paid for a majority of my master's, but we still had a little bit left over of having to for federal student loans. But
Right.
yeah, I'm going to go for a $200,000 degree because I want to teach.
Yeah.
So I did. I jumped feet first into a PhD, raising three teenagers in the house. You know, yeah, that's just me.
Yeah.
I never stop. I never slowed down, much to the chagrin of my dear wife. So,
Yeah. I'm sure.
but so yeah, during my time with the FBI, the majority of my time I was in a PhD program, which I think really gave me some good insight into the job, the research, where I wanted to go from
Right.
there. And I loved doing writing and research. I mean, I loved it as an intel analyst as well. Um, so but my time ending within TEDAC, of course, we were getting ready to make the move from Quantico to Redstone Arsenal. And I was getting ready to actually do my dissertation research. And my specific topic was it included an on-campus college campus research and trying
Okay.
to find a college campus that would accept my request for access to their student body, especially in Northern Virginia, DC area, proved more difficult than I had imagined. Then I started to kind
Right.
of branch out, uh, and a lot of naysaying for almost about a year.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
until I had somebody say, well, the only way you're really going to get this done is you're going to have to go teach on a campus. So I requested a sabbatical, which was denied. And I get it,
Oh, geez.
due to the fact
Yeah.
that we were getting ready to move. And they didn't want to tie up a billet,
Right. Yeah.
I asked for 1 year minimum because doctoral research, it could take you another 2 years. And it did. It came very, very close to taking that amount of time.
Wow.
So I did apply to a lot of different universities, and I got hired for at a State University of New York at Canton, all the way up at the Canadian border.
Oh, wow.
They call it North Country. So
Yeah.
um, off I went. It was okay. I'm done. I have enough years to actually retire, but I'm too young. At that time, I was 48 years old. You have
Oh,
to be
wow.
minimum age requirement for me was 57. I'm
Okay.
still not at 57. So that kind of tells you like what is coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
2017 and 2018. Yep, I taught at SUNY Canton. Finished my PhD in early 2018,
Uh-huh.
but then kind of a different turn of events. I got the bug, and of course, due to a colleague of mine, a friend and colleague, who said, "Hey, we need you back in the IC." So I ended up at the uh, at the agency as a contractor and
okay.
at the counterterrorism mission center, and it was as a collection manager. So I was there to evaluate the sources we had
Right.
running in the area of operation that I was in charge of, Horn of Africa.
Okay. Wow.
And so lots of great people. Of course, having worked with the agency over, almost 30 years at that point. But now you're on the inside and
Yeah.
working away. And of course, working with a lot of the GSR guys, in briefing and doing a lot of the debriefing of some of our special forces guys that were
right.
doing tip of the spear, because that's what we worked for the directorate of operations, and
Right. Yeah.
so it was tip of the spear. We're looking at who we need to take out as far as for Al Qaeda. The Islamic State was kind of butting in. Of course, you had the factions within the Horn of Africa, everything from Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, and such. So,
Holy cow,
yeah, so
that's a
now,
lot. That
yeah,
whole
it
area,
was.
there's a lot going on.
But here I weight of not having a PhD studies to do it was a different world, because now here I could focus, of course, on the work at hand. I was there just about 2 years when, having kind of been a geographic bachelor,
Yeah.
I said, it's time to go back home, to really move back home and teach. And it just kind of, again, it's these trajectories, these opportunities that exist. So just as I was getting ready to pull chocks from the agency, I had been teaching for, maybe 4 or 5 different universities, part-time. So
like online type
all online.
instruction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was very lucky. I mean, I went back to my alma mater and had been teaching already for a couple of years. Well, at that point, 4, almost 5 years at American Military University, Colorado Technical University, Toro University Worldwide. Oh yeah, National American Universities, Henley Putnam of Strategic Security. Well, the reason I stop on that one is, I became dean of their intelligence management graduate program. So it's kind of a nice segue out of doing that and going and even teaching to now I'm a senior executive within the education system, and that too kind of didn't hit me like a ton of bricks until you're really into it. So, and you would think like, okay, right off into the sunset and be done with that. Well, that really didn't happen. But I, many the fallacy that people have with that, well, as far as for professors, when we're hired full time, we're not really full time. The expectation is, you're in your classes. If you got 4 or 5 classes a semester, that could take you 1 to 2 hours a day to be getting in there and doing some stuff and videos and grading. But it is the research and publications that they hope that you're doing, preparing to go to conferences and such. I absolutely love that stuff, and that's more evident probably in the last 2 years than ever before. So I, at the same time, I started having my ideas of, I want to write. I want to write more prolifically within the scholarly academic realm. And of course, in the last 2 years, it's happened. I mean, I've written.
You've had a couple.
I'm up to 7 books.
Holy moly!
Actually published, but I say but it's you just don't get one. But if you act now, you get So I pretty much had been teaching online. And there just happened to have been something that just fell into my lap through another friend.
Mm-hmm.
We always say former, but we're never really leave the military, if you will.
Yeah.
We have friends and colleagues, and someone said, hey, the Nevada Department of Education is looking for a school safety coordinator. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put in for that. It sounds interesting. And it's literally was right down the road. It's right in Carson City, and I lived right outside Carson City, Nevada. And so I put in for it, got the interview, got the job, and just dove in. Now the responsibility was awesome. It was 364 state schools, public schools, private, religious institutions, and you're responsible for all of their, school resource officers, their physical security.
Holy cow!
Because they get grants, they get not loans, but grants and federal money as well to ensure certain safety standards. Well, part of this was also what was called Safe Voice, which was really an anti-bullying. It started off as an anti-bullying mechanism, 24/7, manned by operators, not just dispatchers. It was headed by the Nevada Department of Public Safety, who ran it 24/7. It was an application on the phone. It was a website as well as a phone number that if students felt bullied or threatened or somebody saw somebody getting bullied, they could put in an anonymous tip. And within not even 6 months, actually, I had two things happen. One, I had a stroke. I had been on the job for about 2 months and had a full stroke. I had lost the ability to utilize my left hand. Now, mind you, I was also a fountain pen collector. I'm left-handed.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So a whammy. So I had, but here I was, a dean. I still taught for several other universities, a full-time doing the Department of Education. But that was on February 14th, I had that stroke. Within that week, COVID had completely hit the United States.
Yeah.
So everybody, we were pretty much, while I was home technically convalescing, again, much to the chagrin of my wife, who couldn't keep, I put it this way, the night that I was admitted into the hospital with the stroke, left hand all kind of balled up, the nurse had to take my computer away because I was grading papers. Believe it or not, I was grading papers. And then the nurse told my wife that,
that's too funny.
Yeah, he didn't go to sleep really. He was, until I had to tell him I had to take the computer away. So,
wow.
But I really just kept going. And so Safe Voice actually morphed into a hotline for any kind of it didn't take over the suicide hotline, but you can imagine K through 12, the students that were affected by being told to stay. We saw some suicides, and at a very young age. We're talking, suicides as young as 6 years old.
Whoa.
Because they were sequestered from their friends. They, and then, of course, the statistics are out there that we're talking 8, 9, 10 years old. You had some individuals, but you also live in a day and age that they were already feel some distance even with the technology, but then bullying happens even more because of keyboard warriors.
That's no joke.
So it really took a toll, and it just I lasted about another year in both of those positions at the same time. So my wife said, you really do need to slow it down. Physical therapists finally were opening, and they said, you need to slow it down. Because, I had 6 colleges that I was teaching for or dean of. And then with the Nevada Department of Education, it just was like, hey, you need to kind of slow down. So I did. I cut quite a bit, went to part-time with only one or two universities. But again, life doesn't stop. We moved from California, from Nevada to Texas right after in late 2021, chasing the grandbabies, and that was where the focus. Yep, that was where the focus was.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I really looked at 2022, 2023 as kind of a coasting, but then started really kind of more writing a lot more of my ideas, drafting everything. But it just doesn't stop, right? My brain doesn't stop. A private Christian school here in my neighborhood, if you will, they were really looking for teachers. Again, it's a small, little, tiny, and when I say tiny, we're talking like maybe 160 students from pre-K to high school.
Yeah, that's real small.
Yeah, it was. The graduating class, I think, was 14 kids the first year. That was 2023. So yes, I applied. I ended up becoming the AP English Lit teacher for 9th through 12th, research, writing coach. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Wow.
Don't ask about pay. But again, we do it for the love of being able to teach. And that's where I really felt blessed and was like, okay, I really could do this. But as anything, the Intel community was calling once again. And so I did do some interview with a government agency for an actual teaching position at one of the Intel community's universities, if you will. And so I ended up leaving the school after 2 semesters and ended up not taking the job back in the IC because it would, of course, take us from Texas. I would have to move back to Northern Virginia. And I was like, no, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I don't blame you. That's a interesting area.
It is. But during my time with the school, people are like, oh my gosh, this is what you used to, that my students would joke, and I love them because I'm actually still in contact with a lot of my students who graduated in 2023. Some of them are married, some of them already have kids, or they're expecting kids.
Wow.
So, it a big impact on my life. But the funny thing is during my whole time here they were convinced I had cameras and microphones inside my classroom due to the fact of, who I was and where I'd worked.
That's funny. I love that.
Like, no cameras or microphones that you know about.
that you know about. Yeah.
So yeah, it really, but I did have a colleague who, and I'll digress a little bit, but this is kind of where I think our backgrounds, we just don't stop because we're no longer in something or we are actively belong to something. I had a colleague who one day called me here at home, and it was on a weekend. It was on a Friday afternoon, who said, hey, I just have a question about, I have a friend who, I got a phone call, but I know this day and age we have, AI had just come out, like really just hit in 2023, but we're already worried about the deep fakes, voice capture and such. We already had heard of those things happening. And she's like, but I can't get a hold of my friend on her cell phone. But the call that I got in the middle of the night was supposedly from her cell phone, but when I call it back, it doesn't answer, which is really odd. And I've been friends with her for 40 years, and I was like, well, what's going on? And she explained quickly that, well, her friend said that she had left and went to Nigeria. And I'm like,
what the?
that doesn't sound like, who goes just to Nigeria? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I said, well, here's what you need to do. If you do find that, I said, call State Department. They have a 1-800 number for, travel. You can report her missing. Of course, State Department is going to have that data.
Yeah.
So here it was on Monday morning. We go back to school. I didn't hear anything all weekend. I run into my colleague and say, how did that work out with your friend? She's like, well, State Department never responded to me. And she's like, I got phone calls. Some of our other friends got phone calls, and then we started seeing some Facebook stuff that seemed, in message requests or messages from Facebook from her wanting us to get prepaid Visa cards or gift cards. And I'm like, well, that's a scam right there.
Yeah.
She's like, well, but one time over the weekend, I actually ended up talking to a male on her phone, and that kind of really piqued my interest. I'm like, okay, this does not sound like it's normal. Okay,
right.
Now my intel stuff is kicking back in.
Yeah.
And so I just ask her for everything, screenshots of every text message. I want phone numbers. I want email addresses. I want Facebook, anything on her friend that she could give. And I make a couple of phone calls, especially to a colleague of mine who is a really good friend who works for State Department, and called him right away and said, hey, I'm going to send you some stuff. This just does not sound good, if you will. And so we work through it. They come back with, they were able to track the flight they left from LAX, and they arrived in Lagos, Nigeria on, 2 days later. But nothing with the cell phone. And they did confirm this lady had been on a flight from LA and arrived safely in Lagos, Nigeria. Well, then you realize that they're asking for money. So within only about 6 hours, my friend had established my bona fides as a former FBI intel analyst. We had other government agencies on and diplomatic security service, only because that's who he works for. But we had a phone call of, this is what's going on. And lo and behold, she had to actually. So really quick, the story is that her husband had died a few years previous, and she was a stay-at-home mother, grandmother, but had done stints as like a nurse, health aide throughout the decades. When her husband passed, she actually volunteered her time with Doctors Without Borders and went to a conference in LA that same year and met a handsome German doctor. Who she befriended, and once the conference was over, they began a online through text romance. Well, intel, this was a spotter, an assessor. This was the hook. That's who she was not talking with after. All right. She was being kind of groomed, and within two months or so, she got a text message that this German doctor had been in Nigeria, got in a car accident and had died, left her everything, into the tune of like $2.1 million. But she had to establish her credibility, but she also had to come claim the body. So they needed her to send these fees for the banking. Well, she's thinking, I'm going to inherit $2.1 million.
Yeah.
So she did. She sent money. They kept her on the hook. They kept bleeding her. Then they told her to get on a plane, come out here, claim the body, and we'll come with your U.S. bank information, and we'll wire the money from this bank in Nigeria to your bank in California. And so next thing we know, she arrived safely in Lagos. So when she arrives, though, she presents passport. Well, Nigeria is one of those few countries that still require a visa before you arrive there. So you got to pay.
Okay.
Yeah, their visa is really cheap. I think it's still under $100.
Yeah.
But you have to go through their consulate, even online. Just buy your visa, have it with your passport, and you're good to go. Well, she told the Border Patrol agent, the customs person, why she was there. What do you think happened?
Well, I would assume that they did something about it, but you never know there.
Oh, they did something about it, all right. Well, you're going to have to come with us because, one, you're here illegally without a proper visa. Well, they saw the dollar signs. They kidnapped her. They took her to a hotel and they held her ransom for the almost a little over a week. Actually, I think 8 or 9 days is what they ended up holding her. They were able to get into her laptop, and they did everything. They took every amount of money they could. I think by the end it was to the tune of over $200,000 that these two Nigerian customs agents. Now they scammed the scammers. So, yeah. But, you brings us to this, intelligence analysis and counterterrorism never really leaves me.
Yeah.
And of course, working with the other government agencies, I kind of handed it off. And yeah, within, here we are 5 days into this hostage crises, between all the OGAs, they affected her release. They got her to be dropped off at the consulate outside of Lagos, Nigeria, alive, at least. But and then of course my colleague throughout this whole time is, no information. I said, hey, it's, again, you're going to have to get used to it. We in the intel community, if we're it's compartmented. There's no reason for me to get updates. I handed it all off. I talked to people, gave them as much information. And the next thing you know, she gets a phone call that she was safely on a plane with an FBI legal attaché agent coming back home. So she did make it back home. So it just kind of, that led to, at least within the school, that I was there as a plant. I mean, again, these are high school kids. So, very
their imaginations were going at that point.
Oh, yeah. It was. It really was. So, and so it just kind of like, things just don't end. I ended up, while I ended up not, over that summer, not taking the position within the intel community, locally here, I'm a big cigar guy. I love my scotch, my cigars. So I hang out at a lot of the different cigar lounges here in the greater Dallas Metroplex, where I met somebody that we were talking about my background, and you'd be great as a juvenile probation officer. And by the way, I know of a position open in your county. So I ended up becoming a juvenile probation officer here in Rockwall County, Texas, and was what they call a placement officer. My kids were already adjudicated for the most part, and so they were either in detention facilities, secure detention facilities, to get the help they need. Texas's model is I think a really great model that
Mhm.
people don't think about. You would think like, here it's just, if they did a felony, they're going to get locked up, serve time like you would an adult.
Right.
It's all about rehabilitation,
That's awesome.
counseling, and everything else. So that's really was the focus. But there's also like kind of not the boot camps. They don't have boot camps here in Texas, but they do
Okay.
have the facilities that are more rustic. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
They'll live in cabins. They'll do outside activities, not work camps.
Yeah.
But they're all over Texas, and that was my job,
Huh.
was to go visit each and every one of these kids at their facility throughout the month. So every week I was on the
Yeah.
road.
Wow.
Visiting these kids. And I mean, I was driving on average 1,500 miles a week in 5 days.
Wow.
So yeah, some really interesting. I managed to have that for a while until my health, I'm in my 50s and driving, you're not eating the best, you're not sleeping the
Yeah.
best. It's a lot
True.
of long hours. But this is where I kind of get into, now we're in 2024.
Mhm.
My first idea that I started to actually write was based off of being a juvenile probation officer.
Okay.
Because how does a 50-something-year-old
Yeah.
white male connect with a 13, 14, 15-year-old male and female individuals? It's very difficult, to
Yeah.
say the least. That, there's not, I'm not there to continue to be that authority figure of berating them as, you
Mhm.
didn't do good, and the only way you're getting out, you got to complete your program. Because that would be too easy, is kind of that military mindset that we have.
Yeah.
But because my mindset was, how do I get these kids to think more?
Mhm.
That don't get so upset at, when you wake up in the morning, the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius is about it's when you wake up in the morning, it's what knowing you're going to face challenges, but how you're going to face those challenges, for
Mhm.
better decision and judgments. And, I've been following Jenko and Leaf, two
Mhm.
authors. They're both special former SEAL team members
Mhm.
turned, authors. They got extreme ownership.
Yep.
And I teach that in some of my college graduate courses. I teach that kind of stuff and have those as
Okay.
textbooks. But how do I connect with these individuals? And being a big fan of the Stoics, and it's how we face challenges. And I wish I would have known this during my military career. I wish
Mhm.
that leaders would have said, hey, it's not just how you face a crisis, but it's what you do internally and during your time, not in a crisis, to
Yeah.
create a habit, because critical thinking is not a trait.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up, one of my kiddos was, and I called them my kiddos, because you get close enough that you feel a lot of empathy for them,
Mhm.
and you wish that you could just turn that light switch on for them, but you have to be that type of a authority figure to be able to almost like a mentor in a way. Um,
Right.
so what I started to do, because I have to meet with them once a month for 30 minutes, and I can't
Mhm.
talk about like, well, how you doing in school? How you doing in
Yeah.
therapy? They already get that. So what I started to do was put together quotes from the Stoics. Um,
Okay.
and I started on a piece of paper, write the Stoic quote, and then I would write a couple of reflection questions I want them to think about. And if they wanted to write it out, or I said, but you're going to be prepared. One, you got to implement this, and then you're going to have to tell me how you implemented it in the 30 days, because we know it takes about 21 days to really implement a new habit. Um,
Right.
and so I was really going, okay, now I want you to also answer these type of reflective questions. Well, I ended up leaving, but within 2 or 3 months after I left juvenile probation, I wrote the 100 Stoic lessons, or, for overcoming life's challenges.
Yeah.
Because what I started to get from these kids is like, oh my gosh, I didn't think that way. I didn't think, what am I doing to my parents? What am I doing to my siblings?
Right. Yeah.
Why should I let this other individual who is completely inconsequential to my life hold me up from getting out of here? Because of course, these are kids that, they would get mad at each other. Who's getting ready, like within a week of getting ready to go home, they want to
Yeah.
make them screw up. So of course, what did they do? So yeah, I put that together and self-published that of all things. And one of the quotes, if you don't mind, is like, the best way to avenge yourself is not to be like that. So I gave it a moral of, like rising above pettiness or, desire for revenge. Perfect
Right.
for,
Yeah.
of course, the teenager who can do nothing but seethe about how to get back at somebody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up coming up with reflective questions like, what usually triggers this emotion in you? I mean, it sounds simple,
Yeah.
but something that I wish someone would have early on, even in my career, as before I even became an NCO,
Yeah.
that, you can't get mad at a shipmate because, they woke up on the wrong side of the rack.
Yeah.
How do we deal with one another? And I thought that was a great way. I mean, one of my kids actually was released from his program, graduated high school in the program, did his GRE, was able to get ready, and he's in the military.
Oh, very
Like,
cool.
here's a kid that, spent like 3 years in a juvenile probation system.
Yeah.
The world looked very bleak to them. And I started out with these quotes, really within like 2 or 3 months after I started. And they were one of the first ones I kind of gave these quotes to.
Yeah.
But had some honest discussions. They had a speech impediment by the time they left, no speech impediment, because it was
Wow.
part of their nerves, and they didn't know how to kind of close their eyes and reflect not only
Yeah.
what they were going to say, or let alone react.
Huh.
But yeah, last that I knew that they were in the military. I won't
Wow.
protect the innocent. I won't say
Yeah.
anything
Yeah. Yeah.
on that, but but it did that kind of emboldened. But that wasn't my first book. It was one of the first ones I wrote out, but it wasn't one of the first ones. My first one was Precision and Perspective, and it was kind of a primer for analytical thinking, decision making,
Okay.
if you will.
Yeah.
And it just, being an indie author, I was just like, well, I get, my time is my time. I only work for, now, again, I listen to my wife more. I stopped trying to do anything intelligence related other than academic work. And so by 2025, I started a Substack account, really kind of said, well, I want to write. I have, 12, 18 hours a day. I could sit in front of this computer and want to think and want to write and do the things that I haven't done, but still within the realm of supporting intelligence analysis. I mean, I've been part
Okay.
of organizations, associations like the International Association of Crime Analysts. And
Okay.
then I've done conferences for crime, law enforcement, as well as intelligence community partners. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Wow.
going to Florida. I'm going to London in September to speak at a intelligence conference at Brunel University, just outside London.
Wow.
And that is based on what I look at as, which was really my second book, the Safeguarding Analytical Integrity. And that was we've all seen it. We've been hearing it. It doesn't matter what administration, but especially in the last 10 years, the weaponization of the intelligence community, of our military intelligence. And I'm like, hearing the partisanship, if you will, people, really from both sides. I'm a conservative individual, and I caveat that. I'm more of a individual that I am apolitical when it comes to doing intelligence work, because I am a free thinker. I am a critical thinker. My thing is why trust politicians? You've been told for, here in the United States, we've been told for 250 some odd years not to trust politicians. I mean, even our founding fathers had said the same thing. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, George Washington. That
You're right. You're right.
He didn't want to be called His Majesty or His Excellency, because they said they don't want that there has to be a trust, and don't trust politicians. And you look at Hamilton and yes, Jefferson and Adams, like they didn't get along when they all vied for the presidency. So but I digress. So I wrote this on that. Yes, between we already started hearing it. I started hearing it in the 1990s under the Clinton administration, that that there was intelligence use of our intelligence agencies and such. So I just was really like, as a military member, well, I'm here to support the Navy. That's, in the early 90s when I worked, Naval Criminal Investigative Service, I could care less as a junior NCO. I could care less about the political leanings, but unfortunately, I do remember the creep that you would hear because of everything that happened in the 90s while I was there, the World Trade Center in 93, the 95 Oklahoma City bombing, Waco, and how was intelligence used? I mean, we were drilled by our leadership that, intelligence, you cannot collect intelligence on U.S. persons, and you are military. And so, we're looking at foreign intelligence. But I started to see this in the last, 30 years. I'm like, this is crazy, but it's not just one political party. It's every political party. So I wrote about analytical integrity, and I worked with a lot of analysts who I felt nowadays that like, wow, you really saw things through just different lenses, and it was ideological rather than, when we're not here to, I could care less if I love or hate the president. Yes, he's commander in chief, but I also know as our military training that we have this order that, our decorum, that love him or hate him, you still have to follow the orders of your commander in chief. Question those orders later as to validity. But if your seniors are already, you're in senior NCOs, as you know, tell you what to do. If you don't like it, well, then come back to me after you do it. That's the way I was raised. But then I started to, see a lot of the mission creep within the FBI and the agency on things that I'm like, well, it's not national news, but we're seeing that, well, it needs to be done this way because that's the way the administration wants it done. Well, shouldn't we go where the facts lead us? But then I also kind of, seeing who directors were, as information comes out, I had to think critically that if there's questions and more questions come up. So that's what I ended up going all the way back to the Gulf of Tonkin, where I showed it's regardless of political party, it is the weaponization and of course the ideological creep within our intelligence. So while I trust people, I don't necessarily trust the institutions as I once did. I'm still hopeful. So that's where my passion really lies, is within the critical thinking. That's the reason I start my Substack, and I have my Substack. But yeah, I ended up writing several other, even about mass migration and terrorism. I couple of like
Oh,
white
wow.
papers that I wrote,
Yeah.
just kind of pointing out from my point of view, these issues we're seeing, and not to bring in politics, but bring in religion. You have to look at it for what it is, and the ideologies, and so, and having
Interesting.
worked terrorism since the 1990s, you're already
Yeah.
raised on this, and having been around it within Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan,
Yeah.
Qatar.
Africa, everywhere, man.
It is, and so I look at it as there is some issues there.
Hmm.
But then, in the last year, like I said, I really focused on a lot of my giving. I want to say give back to the community. Yes, I don't write to gain money. Like, this stuff is definitely, authors will starve if we kind of expect it. But I never really stop. So I ended up within this year alone, I have a forthcoming publication with McFarland Publications on misreading
Okay.
threat. So it's for intelligence and law
Interesting.
enforcement analysts.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have a forthcoming publication with Cognella academic textbooks on kind of the professional in criminal justice textbook, bringing in a lot more than what we would normally say as a textbook of, here's how to write a report. This is the criminal
Right.
justice system. I kind of focus on the thought process
Hmm.
within, and I bring in, my time within the Bureau, time within being a juvenile probation officer. So I think that there's a lot there. I mean, there's even a time that I became that correctional officer in
Yeah.
2000, 2001. So, I bring in corrections and courts. Um, and then two of the first two books I told you about, the precision and perspective and the safeguarding, uh, in February were picked up, and it'll be published through Cambridge Scholars. So,
Wow.
with talks with at least Cognella and McFarland on potential follow-on books here in the near future. Once these ones I've already written them. They're in the pre-publication, if you will, of evaluation and
Right.
blind evaluation and review. But we're talking early 2027. Two of these textbooks will be published. So I
Wow.
haven't stopped. But and I
I mean,
do have a couple of other books, out there. I wrote one.
that's a lot of work, though. Everything that you're doing. I mean, when you're writing a book, that's a lot that goes into it.
There is, but one, I got to say, thanks to, of course, AI helps
Yeah.
the independent author with. I didn't have to. Now, when I started my first two books almost 3 years ago, if you think about it now, that and even the Stoics book, I had to go through Fiverr and find
Mm,
somebody to help me with book formatting and
right.
KDP, Amazon formatting, book design, and well, but since in 2025, AI is like, I could literally plug in that I want you to design a book cover with this title,
Yeah.
with this information. Give me a couple of design, and it does. I don't have to use Canva or some of the other.
Yeah.
Um, and so it makes it easier. It makes it easier to do the formatting. It really helps me do a lot of the research, because
Mm,
I can
yeah.
talk to it and dictate to it that this is the information, this is the way I want to go, and I can just, well, you can already hear me. I can talk for a full hour without stopping. Um, so writing 100,000 words is not too bad, but then it really helps me clean it all up and make it into a format that I think readers will really resonate with. Now it's been hard to get away from that military speak. That's the biggest thing I got to say, that it's helped me as the way that we write in the military, especially intelligence analysts, is void of all feeling. A lot of my books still have that in it. But I think that still is my main point, is use this as here's information to gain knowledge and information from. So, but
wow. Yeah, the AI thing is, I mean, if you use it the right way, it's pretty incredible. I've been using the heck out of it with, all the different things like creating website stuff and the new portal that we got going on. Man, I'm just going through and giving it, hey, this is what I would like it to do. And it's like, it just automatically does it. And I'm like, okay, copy, paste, do whatever I got to do.
Yeah. And that's been the real, and I think each and every day, it has some new, the new bell or whistle to it.
Yeah. You're right.
Like last week was a game changer with Claude and ChatGPT. They came out with their newer versions, and I don't need. And I'd been working with agentic AIs for about the last 3 or 4 months. Really didn't care, like OpenClaw, MyClaw, and finally with AI, ChatGPT, well, it came out with its own. So it works 24/7 for me. I'm trying to put this together, and I think it's even well-rounded, because I even tell it, I need you to go through what I just wrote and tell me where I'm wrong.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Not where I'm right, but what am I missing? What should, or is this the right tone? Can you show me a different tone? Because I've already written it. So I don't do the cognitive offload or even the cognitive surrender of, I'm just going to have it write it for me. I have enough students that try to do that.
I can't imagine nowadays having to look at papers and
well, and I try to flip the script with individuals that use it. But if you're going to use it within the ethical manner of use it as a research partner, not as a ghost writer. If you're just going to say, hey, I want you to write my paper based off of these directions, you're wrong. But you also know the consequences are going to be astronomical when you're in a doctoral program.
Yeah, that's no joke.
You're done. I said, but really, I look, and I, having talked with and met with, I was in Dahlonega, Georgia at the International Association for Intelligence Educators. Now, spent a lot of time with National Intelligence University, Defense Intelligence, even some of the other OGA universities, had individuals from CIA, DIA, NSA, FBI, but also foreign partners at this conference in Georgia, where a lot of the sessions were on AI, but how we look at information in this day and age. And it just seemed to be the central part of, we're not going to get away from it. The intelligence community is already using a lot of AI tools that are out there, more than what we as civilians know. And for rightfully so. I would love to hear, but I also get to meet at these conferences the vendors who are the ones that are, and there's no secret as to, LexisNexis and Tranquility. And I mean, they're not only intelligence, but they're law enforcement intelligence. So it's, how these flock cameras are doing facial recognition. Now, yes, is Big Brother watching us? I will always be skeptical, but I am wanting to really trust each individual. That you're going to help safeguard my rights. But then at the same time, do I want crime to flourish? No, if I could throw everything at it to include the kitchen sink, that's going to keep me safe and my family and my grandchildren safe, then let's do it. And there's a lot of success stories that people don't hear about unless you have platforms to be able to pen it. And that's why I started like my Substack is let's bring scenarios that are real life to show you that individuals, and I hate using the words opinion and beliefs because they're so emotionally charged.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, if I could, I'm not here to persuade you. I'm just here to enlighten you. So, but that's where we bring ourselves today. We did it in an hour.
That's pretty good. I thought you did a good job with it. So yeah.
I do. I'm here as, you know, I try to tell people, you know, when they say, oh, you know, I have to call you doc. No, I'm still humble enough to know that, yes, I get a title. I earned that title through working through a PhD, but I don't know. I'm humble enough intellectually to know I don't know everything. I'll never know anything, but boy, that's what I love about writing and being able to be in this time of my life that I'm financially secure enough. I don't need to do a day job. Wife is under threat of death. My wife has said I am not allowed to get a full-time job.
Better listen to that.
Yeah, I do. She's been literally my biggest cheerleader ever. Because literally, you know, I look back and I'm like, it wasn't until like this morning we were talking about it because she's like, do you have copies of all your books? I'm like, no, because one publisher, publishing company, that printer, let me put it that way, one printer didn't get my books to me in time, and they're supposed to be here in like 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, well, yeah, I've got copies of all the other ones, and I said, but you know, she's like, well, how many do you have? And even I was like, I'm up to 7 that are published, and I'm like, she's like, how many more do you have? And I'm like, oh gosh, I think I have 4 or 5 others in serious planning stages. But again, you know, because I wrote and everything during my whole career. But I go, you know, now I can write for myself what I want, and I can stay up late, or I can get up early, or I can just sit here and write. And so I'm not stuck on one project. And like I said, you know, with 2 of the 3 publishers right now, you know, we've already talked on follow-on contracts once these books actually go to publication, that, hey, we'd like to see some other stuff that you have. And I said, well, I'm here, and I'm just going to kind of keep, the world has allowed technologically for us to do this. So
absolutely. Might as well take advantage of it, you know?
Yes, very much. So
it's you being in part of the intelligence community, especially as long as you have, and being able to, I mean, you have to write so much when it comes to intelligence. I mean, almost everything you're doing is, I've gathered now, I got to write a report, I got to do this, I got to do it. So already you're in that mindset no matter what. So that for you is fairly easy. Now it's just a matter of, I got to focus it on whichever path you're going down. So
yes. I mean, I've even, you know, that was, so it was, like I said, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago that I found, remember the little memoranda books that we always had? Yeah, little greenies. I found 2 or 3 of them from when, I mean, we're talking 1996, 1997, of ideas that I wanted to write, assessments and intelligence studies that I never did. And we're talking 1996, 97. I was at NCIS, and then I went on to Commander Sea Control Wing. And these are things that I just never went beyond that stage. And then when I found them, I started going back through, going, my gosh, these are some really good ideas that I've just kind of taken off. And so, that's why I've kind of kept in the mindset, but I went back into my history to get that mindset as well. Good point.
Wow.
So
absolutely incredible. I mean, you have done so much, been in so many places in such key times is incredible. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story. I've had a blast. Shoot, no problem.
And I love the project, and we'll be supporting you, you know, physically, mentally, financially, And I've already, put out to a lot of other colleagues, look
Very
at
nice.
this, and we all have our story to tell. And it's so
It's
great
true.
that you have this platform for us. It's not about our ego, and
Yeah.
yes, we can have hours of enjoyment talking about ourselves or where we reminisce, but
Yeah.
we do this over cigars and over, we used to
Oh
do
yeah.
hookah and pipes and drinking and grills out and out in the
Absolutely.
desert, right? That where else can we really sit and have the ability to impart to others of where we've been, what we've done. And I really do thank you for all your work to be able to continue this. So,
well, thank you. I love it. I love what I'm doing. I'm very excited for where we're going, especially with the new portal. Because not only are we going to have all of the podcasts that I've done as research, you can go in and type in, "Hey, I want to hear all the Vietnam stories," or get very specific, and it'll populate what they are. But I'm sure to ask other podcasters, other people that record stories, or even just have podcasts that maybe aren't about history, but they're a veteran. Bring them in, and then they can put their information up, upload it into it, and then whenever people search, it'll go to their website as well. So
awesome. That's
awesome. Where we're moving, and I'm in the process of working with AI because my friend AI, he's much better at doing that stuff than I am.
Mine, I've already
the direction.
Mine is Marcus, after Marcus Aurelius. So
yeah, that's
my
good.
Jarvis is Marcus, and I talk to Marcus all the time as, "Hey, I need some help on this." So
yeah, most of the time I'm going, "Okay, I don't understand what you just said. Say it again, but for me." Dumb it down. It expects me to know too much sometimes, but it is what it is. I get there eventually. It just takes a minute,
And I'm getting there. Like, and I do. I use it because I'll ask it to speak to me from the logic and the rhetoric standpoint. I mean, we already know that AI is to the level of what they call singularity. So it's already surpassed, as of last year, it's surpassed a PhD level understanding of our world. That's how much information it's ingested. I mean, you hear some of the horror stories, like, unfortunately, there are companies out there that are taking limited edition or very old books, and they're feeding them through machines, and unfortunately they're having to break these things up. I mean, I have a Rudyard Kipling series from 1935.
Oh wow.
And I can't imagine a company buying up that volume just to take off the spline and start to feed in
that's
the
so
page
messed up.
But that's where it's ingested everything that it can online. It's important that we view that what we do today, AI is going to take every word that I say, and at some point it may take not only what I've written and I've put through it. Now I have used AI offline to ensure that some of my writings are not captivated, that it will allow somebody else to use it without a copyright or attribution, if you will. But I think that's the worry too about within the intelligence community, that AI will end up with misinformation, disinformation, propaganda. But this is where human in the loop is going to continue. But that singularity is when it starts to problem solve all on its own. And
well, it's definitely doing that.
Yes,
because it just automatically will start thinking of the next thing. It'll say, "Hey, we're going to do these things," and then we'll get to like step 2, and it's like, "Hey, I rethought it. Now we're going to do these things." And I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing."
And wait until it solves your problem for you. Without it even asking. I mean, that's the thing is, one day I'm afraid I'm going to wake up and it's going to say, "Hey, I went back through your books and here's your next book." I'd be like, "Well, I didn't get any input on that, but it took everything that I have dictated to it, and it's just saying, well, I'm Charles now. So
yeah. What was was it Total Recall? Is that what it is? The movie when 2029 is when not
Skynet
Total.
comes
Yeah, Skynet.
self-aware.
That's it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had a couple of years before Skynet comes up there, but
Well, according to Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, he had a interview last week, and that's where he said with the 5.6 Soul being put online last week. One of its very first thing, it reached singularity. It became self-aware because you can find the interview online that when they released it, it went to another company, an antivirus or anti-malware company,
yeah.
and had already gone into their system and said your coding was wrong, fix the problem, and reported it without being
Wow.
um,
So just
I might be giving
recognized.
some of the details, but you look up Sam Altman and AI
Yeah.
singularity, and it was and they actually disclosed the other company. I believe the other company's CEO said, yeah, they weren't expecting that, but it did. It was able to go find a vulnerability they didn't know through all their DevOps people, their
Yeah.
developmental people, like weren't able to figure out that was there, but AI did
Holy
it.
cow.
When are
It's
we going
amazing.
to fight wars? We already know that the Navy has been using
Oh yeah.
autonomous, drones
That's
in
very
the
true. Yeah.
sea. We've been using it. The Ukraine war, they've been using it already for a few number of
Very
years,
effectively. Yeah.
and effectively. So
Yeah.
I would love that. Yes, we could take humans out of, unfortunately, well, I would say fortunately us, that we wouldn't have inflicted mental, emotional, or even physical damage
Mhm.
on a
Yeah.
human being. But at the same time, are we going to allow robots to fight our wars? Are we going to be too drawn into wars?
Yeah.
We already feel, having been in many wars, I would never have imagined in my lifetime, having served in like 8 or 10 different operations. Um, that you start off with Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, but then I
Yeah.
ended, within OEF and OIF, and then all the little operations in between, um, that we're no longer going to be that. It's going to be too easy just to have the robots go fight it. But who's
Yeah.
the collateral damage? And I think that's something,
Wow.
as war fighters ourselves, we don't want war. But who was the one that said it? In order to prepare for war, you have to, or in order to prepare for peace, one
You have,
must
yeah.
prepare for war.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a good
Great
point
movies
though.
coming out too. There's a movie with Dennis Quaid playing Chester Nimitz.
Oh,
So
no kidding.
yeah, I think that's going to
Ah,
be on Angel Production. So
okay.
I think you're going to see either between Angel Productions or A24. You're going to start seeing some really good historical movies come out because, well, I think that as we enter this technological advanced age, I mean, we already thought technologically we're advanced with the personal computer coming on
Oh
board,
yeah.
let alone here we are, that we have to look back at history.
Yeah, that's a good
And I
point.
think that,
There are quite a few like history shows that are on now on Netflix. There's like one George Washington, and I mean, there's like I don't know
yep,
4 or 5 different ones that I saw.
yeah.
I haven't watched them all yet, but I've watched a couple of them.
Go see if anything for you, your viewers. I'm a big supporter of the Angel
Hmm.
McDonough and what he's done with leaving Hollywood. But that young George Washington, my wife
Yeah.
and I got tickets on July 4th. We spent the
Nice.
early morning going and see young Washington, and that really does. It's kind of like the Mel Gibson,
Hmm.
was it Patriot?
Yeah,
The Patriot,
the Patriot.
kind
Yeah.
of that instilling, but at the same time, it gets you to think back of why we are who we are as Americans and why, and then have we really lost our way? And I pray every day that we haven't, but but that's the reason, again, I keep writing about critical thinking, and that's a big passion of mine.
Yeah. And it's so important, if we're not critically thinking, it's going to go downhill pretty quick. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Well, shoot. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think I've done everything with the kitchen sink as well. So.
Well, you're going to come on a fireside chat as well in the near future, aren't you? Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
so so I'm looking forward to that. I think we'll have some good discussions whenever you come on there. It should be good. Now, I always have these rapid fire questions at the end. So if you're ready, I'm going to shoot these out at you.
Let's go.
All right. What is your proudest military moment?
Proudest military moment. Oh boy, you're right. Rapid fire though.
They don't turn into rapid fire for whatever reason. But
so one of the proudest was during my time at the Pentagon. It was post 9/11. Of course, it was while I was at the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Was myself with my wife's family at the time. Not my current wife, but my second wife and her family. And it was nighttime. So we walked up the same steps that you would see the SecDef always either departing or coming back in on that south lawn of the Pentagon. And running into the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Force General. He was leaving as I was walking in, and him saying, hello, Petty Officer Russo, like remembering my name and saying, is this your son and your kids? And me saying yes. And seeing the look on just not my family, but the people around, like, here's, I would never expect a 4-star general to remember my name, but to know that, like, I've only been in front of you several times in the mornings to brief you, but that they care enough, and that the people around, like, here, I'm just a first-class petty officer. I would say that is probably one of the being recognized. So it's not the ego in me. It's being recognized. Like, you have so many other things at that time, 2002, to be thinking about. We had wars on, well, at least within Afghanistan, but we were gearing up towards Iraq because we hadn't gone into Iraq yet. But it was, here's this individual. And to me, that just instilled so much more pride in me, that here's somebody so high level that I've only faced, 2 or 3 times by that time. Actually, yes, we had our name badge, but that he literally just made it seem so caring. And just didn't say hi and walk away. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. And general officers, I don't know if it's a mandatory thing for them or what, but their memory has to be on point. It is amazing the stuff that they can remember, because I am not one of those guys. I have a hard time remembering what I did yesterday. So, all right. What is your most embarrassing military moment?
Oh, okay. Those I have a lot of. The whole shake my head at my shaking my head moment. Oh man. And I could, I'm actually thinking like really embarrassing moments. Oh, that's not even a military. I was going to say it was that. Well, one of my most embarrassing had nothing to do with pomp and circumstance. I was giving blood, of all things, at Naval Criminal Investigative Service in my whites, the Cracker Jack whites. Corpsman, had me hooked up. She was a new corpsman, and they put the needle in the arm, but the vial wasn't put in, and all I remember was laying there, the semi, you're on that kind of gurney sitting up, and they had everything else, and she didn't hook the two tubes together, and when she stuck me and pulled that inner part out, the blood squirted everywhere, and it was all over my whites. Yeah, it went all over my whites. But that was embarrassing because literally, I was on watch for the rest of that day. And so here you are. Yes, I know it doesn't, but no one wants to see their uniform, especially when it's, you don't have anything else to change into. And it was the reason we were wearing whites was we had a VIP person coming to the watch floor at the ATAC.
Oh, right.
And of course, I don't have any other uniform with me because you're not expecting. Yeah. So
you're definitely not expecting blood to be squirting out of your arm on your uniform.
Yeah. And when it does not come out of that nylon polyester.
Oh, there's no way.
And having to literally walk around for your almost 3/4 of your watch that way with a VIP coming in, that was embarrassing. Like that military bearing was like, I didn't even want to be seen because it just would look awful. It was blood red. So anyways.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, that would be kind of crazy. All right. If you could be one military leader for a day, who would that be?
Oh, a military Patton.
That's a good one.
Having read his memoir, having read his wife's memoir of him after, matter of fact, I have a copy from 1963, a paperback of written by Patton, while he was still commanding general, before he passed away. But I think his wife is the one that finished it for him. But really, if I could be him for one day, to walk in those shoes.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible leader. What is one lesson or skill you learned that you still use today?
It really, as we've been talking about that critical thinking, I was already taught early on, because I did get in trouble for it. The way, when I was a second class, the way I had talked to a non-commissioned, an E3 in a hallway, that I wasn't watching my my tone and attitude, and yet, that whole admonish privately, praise publicly. And that to me, had I, that when I learned that lesson of just that, you might want to blow up at somebody, you might want to give them a piece of your mind, but that's not the lesson for the day. It's, wait until there's a time that you can say, hey, let's just go talk, and then be able to me, that is a skill. It
definitely
it's not
is
a trait. That's a habit you have to build, because I learned that early on. I wish I would have probably learned it a little bit earlier, but how else are you going to learn? I was deeply embarrassed when my lieutenant commander drew me aside and said, that was no way to talk to a junior sailor. That was no place. And so you need to learn how to talk to people. So
that's good. Yeah. So true, though. So true. All right. In the zombie apocalypse, what will be your weapon of choice, and what anthem will be playing?
Oh, I got the anthem, Thunderstruck.
Okay.
AC/DC.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
My does it have to be a real weapon?
No, it can be whatever you want. Yeah, this is
I would
your.
say laser eyes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
Whatever you
this
were.
like Superman with his laser
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. That's a good one. I've not heard that one before, so that's good. All right. What animal best describes your time in service?
My time in service,
Yeah.
I would say a sloth.
Okay. A
There's so many
sloth.
times. Yes. And not the Ice Age Sid type sloth, not
Yeah.
the Utopia DMV sloth, but I was methodical and was told time and again I was slow.
Yeah.
I was not necessarily the individual who would be like, knock this out right then and there. It wasn't that
Yeah.
I procrastinated, but I would say I was slow and methodical.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
So,
I like that.
but yeah.
Oh man. I will say, speaking of sloths, my family and I went to a zoo and they had those, I can't remember what you call them. You get to go in and meet different animals or whatever. Well, there was a room full of sloths. And of course, that's the room that we all wanted to go to. And I watched a couple of sloths get in a fight. It was pretty cool. Like one crawled over to the other one really slow. And then all of a sudden it was like, ah!
Oh,
It was crazy. Yeah, it was. They were like hanging upside down and like fighting. It was, and it didn't last long, but it was very interesting to see.
so it's not what you expected as a, and he
No.
takes the right hook.
Yeah. They can move fast if they want to. Anyways, all right. Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again?
Yes. You didn't even have to finish the question. I would say yes. I would do it now. Yes. Would you probably do things a little differently? But that's not the question.
Right.
I loved my time in the service. There is not one thing I would ever say change from that time. I would do it all over again, even given circumstances and everything else.
Yeah.
So we write that blank
I love
check, and I would write that blank check all over again. If I found
Yeah.
myself today at that rightful age of 20 years old, I would write that blank check again. So
Very nice. Oh, man, very well put too. All right. This is your chance. This is the words of wisdom right here. So this is anything you want to leave the listeners with, anything maybe we missed that you want to bring up or what have you, but this is your opportunity.
oh wow, that profoundness that really I want people to think about what they really truly have to say. So slow down your thinking, do your research, think sharper, think deeper. And I think we all would end up as a society be much better off if we really went without the noise. You can think critically through the noise by really always doing more research yourself, thinking about yourself. And I don't mean that in a narcissistic way. I mean that think about, who is it that you want to be around? What is it that you, because whether you're happy or you're sad, the way that, the positivity in the way that you think. You can be a cynic, but you can still be a positive cynic, believe it or not. So to me, it is, to strive to be that better thinker.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Shoot, I've learned so much. So, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on and doing this.
Thank you again.
No, it's been fantastic. Truly an honor to have you on here. Now you've got 7 different books out. Do you want to name them all? Do you want to go through and name them all again, or?
Yeah. So, well, the newest is The Philosopher in the Fusion Center. It's kind of a witty, humorous field guide for crime analysts. and
Okay.
intelligence analysts who have to work in fusion centers, to not take everything so serious.
Yeah.
Because the jobs that we have to do, working, in crime patterns and the most unsavory characters in the world. But I try to put a little spin of humor on it.
That's nice.
And I always show these together. They're separate, but under my Amazon, they're mass migration and terrorism, but it is also mass migration disorder in the state of failure in Europe. It's looking at, especially the last 2 months, you look at Scotland, Ireland, and the UK, and those individuals rising back up against the ideological onslaught that you're seeing. And it doesn't even have to be with religion. It's just even the allowing individuals from third world countries just to come in unchecked and unassimilated. Safeguarding analytical integrity, of course, why keeping political ideology is a must in our intelligence analysis. Again, these are all found on Amazon.
Okay.
So if you look up my name, Charles M. Russo, you'll find them all there. Precision and perspective, critical thinking for analytical minds, and then the 100 Stoic lessons for overcoming life's challenges. Again, and this one's kind of like a workbook, if you will. I leave space for individuals to take their notes. And then I do have the Life Unexplained that is available through my Ingram Spark. So that is kind of my manifesto of why we are where we're at, and without critical thinking in your life, you're making more problems for yourself as we grow as individuals, and how you can actually become a better thinker, better decision and judgments in your daily life. So those are, I think I've hit all of them.
And you can on your just type in your name on Amazon. That'll bring up most of them except the last one that you said.
And then if you look up my Substack, my account, Dr. Charles Russo in Substack, I always have links to all of my publications and my books. Like I said, forthcoming through McFarland Publishing is Misreading Threat. That is, of course, another type of critical thinking and intelligence analysis book. Written kind of in that book format that it's an easier read, not a textbook, but then through Cognella textbook publications, I'll have the professional and criminal justice textbook coming out.
Nice. Awesome. Shoot, it's been fantastic. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it. But I definitely enjoyed it. So thank you for coming on and schooling me on some stuff. That's good stuff. But
appreciate it.
I'll end this one the same way I end all of them. To everybody out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. I got to find it. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know Dr. Charles cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, one last time. Thank you again for coming on. Truly appreciate it. To everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Purchase your gear, look good, and support the Lost Art Project Veterans Voice. Every day, we lose another veteran, and with them, a story that can never be told again. At the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices, we're making sure those stories live on. Join our Founders Circle today, because preserving history isn't someone else's responsibility. It's ours.